Good evening, everybody. We call the advisory meeting to order at 7:32 p.m., March the 25th, 2026, with 6 out of 7 members present. Tonight we have a few items on our agenda. Number 2, after calling the meeting to order, is discuss warrant articles. Ongoing discussion. We did a lot of work last meeting on the 16th. And I did send along a document right before this meeting for review that includes sort of a brief summary for those who weren't in attendance. Even those of us who were, we did quite a few articles by consent. We had a few left over that we held. So if you look in that document, which maybe Andrew can bring up, we have several left, and in the town meeting warrant, it'll be published that we will be voting on those at town meeting, but of course we're going to be discussing more of them even tonight and before the meeting itself. So, all right. Thank you, Andrew. And I see here we should have Marnie Houlihan also in the audience for discussion on Article 17 and some of the other zoning articles. But if you want,
Just showed up. She's here.
okay, good. I do see that now. So this is just a summary, quickly so we kind of know where we're at. Maybe Andrew, if you scroll down or maybe make it one page, it's a little bit hard to see, but maybe I just need to put my glasses on, sorry. I list here the articles we voted by consent and the ones that were held. So Article 17, 28, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36. 2 of those are citizens petitions. So this evening, we do want to start with the planning articles with Marnie, giving us a brief discussion and presentation. So if we want to bring her over, Andrew.
Hi.
Hi, Marnie. Nice to see you. Welcome to our meeting.
Thank you for having me. Good evening, everyone.
Hello.
Morning.
You guys had a meeting on Monday. Some of us may have listened in on that or listened to the recording since then, but we're glad to have you here and hope to have your input on the zoning bylaws that you guys are putting forward, the amended zoning bylaw, particularly on industrial park and ADUs, et cetera. So.
Sure. So I have a presentation. It is 11 slides. I've also, just for, educational purposes, the town planning board has created a site of ATM articles. In there, I've recorded 3 videos. One about the overview of the bylaw, one on data centers, one on small energy, clean energy infrastructure. And then we've posted presentations, a compare and contrast handout. So there's a lot of information available on 17, 30, and 31. So I'd encourage people to visit the town planning board site. On the upper left-hand corner, you'll see ATM town meeting warrants. I've also sent out information through the town backpack system with QR codes that people can hopefully learn more, because I know zoning is always such a fun topic at town meetings. So, would you like me to run through the slides with that, or would you just want to do question answer? I'll leave it up for you.
I'm not sure if anyone watched the presentation Monday, or if you didn't, perhaps go through the slides. But if everybody's seen them, we may not need to. I just don't know. Any thoughts, guys?
Well, I did see them on Monday, but maybe a quick, synopsis rather than just going through all 11 slides, just, touch on the high points of the 3 articles.
Sure.
I saw Monday as well, but
Yeah, as did I.
never heard. So.
All right.
Perfect.
So
Yeah.
sorry, Marnie.
Oh, no problem. So the high points, and so article number 17, I think that the precipice for this coming out is, so first of all, the planning board's looked at zoning and it's pretty outdated. So our zoning language, it hasn't been updated for a really long time. IP, it's been about 40 years. And so there's a couple things that started this. 2 years ago, Alan Belniak ran for office because there was a business that left the town because they couldn't find space in the IP district. Use variances are no longer viable, and so it's just no longer feasible to use any kind of use warrants to be able to or use variances to get into spaces. And so it was really a proactive response to try and be and maybe reactive response to be a little bit more forthright, modernize contemporary language, and really think thoughtfully about our IP district. So for the general context of the IP district, it would, if you don't mind, I would like to just share what we're talking about because I do think it helps people to actually visualize the district. I just requested us to share my screen, and I'm just going to show that one screen of the map of Southborough. Thank you. And so what we're talking about really are these areas here. That about Marlborough to the west of town, both north and south of Route 9, and then kind of dead center town on the south side. And so these are this lovely violet color are our industrial park areas. And so they do abut residential and conservation land. And so we've tried to be really thoughtful about this IP zone. So I'll stop sharing. I just wanted to contextualize where we're talking about and modernize the language. So it really, for high level changes, it updates performance standards. So we've incorporated performance standards for noise, vibration, odor, emissions, and prohibits flashing lights. And this is something that we think is important in any zoning, really. IP is the first that we've put this in. We obviously have our noise bylaw. It doesn't cover odor, it doesn't cover vibration or emissions. And I think that's important when you're thinking about an industrial park or new zoning. We've modernized uses permitted by right. So anything less than 50,000 square foot. And let's just say that's the size of an average supermarket. Teamworks for kind of contextual purposes is about 70,000 square feet. That one in Northborough, if you've been there. Our public safety building's about 36,000 square feet, so it's a little bit larger than that. So it just kind of gives you a footprint of what we're talking about. So we're modernizing uses. We're including distilleries, breweries, wineries. We're adding recreation, arts, cultural, and fitness facilities, creative workplaces, including digital services and publishing. Retail, banks, offices, and consumer services have pretty much stayed. We've added medical clinics and outpatient centers. Retail, banks, and consumer services and light manufacturing with strict environmental controls stay. Where we've added here is small clean energy infrastructure. Importantly, Mass General Law has added those by right. Anything greater than 250 megawatt output. And that's following Mass General Law 164. So we've incorporated what the draft guidance is from the law, and we've amended it for additional protections for the town of Southborough, limiting small clean energy infrastructure, things like battery systems, solar panels,
Solar and wind, basically. Okay.
wind turbines, correct. Clean energy. The third thing we're doing is we're allowing clear special permits, permit uses. So over 50,000 square feet, anything that's allowed under 50,000 square feet with a special permit. We're also adding on-site manufacturing with retail, utilities, hospital, labs, life sciences, and our R&D facilities. And we're restricting for biologic matter for 3 and 4 toxic levels, which is really kind of infectious diseases, and then very toxic chemical warfare, which we just didn't think would be appropriate to manufacture here in the town. And updated our development standards. So yeah, Larry.
Just a quick one, since I'm sort of new to this area. Is the 50,000 square feet the total building envelope, or is it a business within possibly a larger building?
The total envelope would be 50,000 square feet.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome. And then updated development standards. So the setbacks we've increased, the setbacks have traditionally been 50 feet. We've increased those for 100 feet for residential conservation abutters. However, for small clean energy infrastructure, we've increased that to 1,000 square feet, as well as for data centers. And so that's the other large piece of this particular bylaw in number 17 is a special permit, which would be added to the special permit section by planning board, not by zoning board, for data centers. And that is new. It's proactive management. If you listened to Monday, I think the point is data centers are all over the news. Our entire industry and how we're thinking is moving to AI. They're looking for very large facilities. We've limited it to 50,000 square feet, and we've put a variety of thoughtful protections in place around many things. So let me just read really quickly what those would include. Strong siting protection. So again, the data center would be 1,000 feet away from homes and conservation land. Any outdoor equipment must be visually screened and enclosed when possible. There would be noise controls, which would require pre and post construction noise studies. And then public engagement requirements so that all residents within a half a mile would have to be notified, and applicant must hold at least 2 neighborhood meetings, in addition to public hearings that would be held through the planning board, and then adequate notification and clear signage. Importantly, what we've kept in there is town oversight through that impacts water, sewer, stormwater, and electric systems, expected energy use or emissions, cooling methods and water consumption, noise, vibration, and air quality, public safety, fire protection, and emergency plans, and ensuring that it's consistent with the town climate and master plans. And so we've kind of created some language in there that allows a town to deny the permit should anything not be right with the protections that we've placed for oversight.
Are there limits on water usage, for example, or is it just what's the language, I guess? So
yeah, so the actual language is not limits because it's really hard to tell what limits are. So basically it says, in considering whether to grant a special permit, the planning board shall consider factors including but not limited to the following and may impose conditions or deny the permit where it finds the adverse impacts cannot be reasonably mitigated. Under water use and cooling, expected potable and non-potable water consumption, cooling methods, wastewater and thermal discharge characteristics, and consistency with town water supply, wastewater, and watershed protection objectives. So it's very broad.
because that's or an electric and water for data centers are the two. How you cool them is the big issue, right? So
Absolutely. And electric, I mean, what you read is electric does surge for the neighborhoods that they're nearby. So we wanted to be able to kind of put those protections in place.
as a industry, they're relatively quiet, right? Except for the air handling units, and that can be mitigated. It's not a high use, in and out building. It's actually not a bad client, but the electricity and how they cool them and the water usage to cool them are the big challenges, I think. So.
And I will say, Howard, that the reports and the research that I've conducted, there is a low hum that escapes the property. And that's really what empowered us to put that 1,000-foot buffer, because it does impact the neighborhoods.
Yes, Larry.
Sorry, Eric.
Yeah, Eric might have been before me, so let him go
Oh,
first.
So real quick, Martin, thanks for the overview. So first question is, How does this compare to other towns? Any sense of the regulations that they've been putting in?
So no other towns have been putting in regulations. So what's been happening, and it's really, I'll be honest, there's not a lot happening in the Massachusetts area right now. I mean, our electric rates are pretty high. I think a lot of data centers are looking
Yeah.
for like multiple football field size, like 200-acre lots that are equipped in places
Right.
like Virginia, Pennsylvania. So I haven't seen anything. Northborough, I did send our bylaw, and I'm into conversations with the town planner there because they are trying to update their data center. They don't even have it well defined. So I think we're trying to work together. So they're very similar in how they think about data centers.
Right. I mean, point taken around the footprint. These things are massive. And then my next question is, based on that alone, with a 1,000 foot setback, any sense of the square, I don't know if the acreage or whatever the unit would be, where you could actually fit based on that 1,000 foot setback on the boundaries of the IP districts?
Yeah, like what potential properties within the IP district?
Yeah, but if you're 1,000 feet from the property line, those aren't massive plots to begin with. So, I mean, almost by definition, they're probably not going to, even if they wanted to, they just can't make it work on economies of scale
I think
and all
there's
the other reasons.
probably a couple that would fit the criteria.
Okay.
That so we wouldn't it wouldn't be exclusive zoning or you know what I mean, that it wouldn't be able to happen. So there are a couple properties within the IP that it could fit.
Okay. Thank you. That's all I have.
Yeah, but Eric, I mean, I looked at the map. I mean, that you could put one like in the very center of the EMC parcel, maybe like
Maybe.
it would
Exactly.
be like 1/20th of it, right? I mean, it's I think
There's just
that
not a lot of space there for the size of
is
these
really
things.
I mean, we're basically eliminating it, right? So
Yeah.
I think that's the only parcel you could fit a data center in just with so
Right.
much residential around it.
Yeah,
I think
so
Park
I
Central
guess
also fits.
Park Central, it would be tight. I mean, maybe you could do it in between the 495. I think it would be the only spot you could do it in. But
so. Although it strikes me that actually siting a data center there seems like a low priority event. Um, are there considerations or recourse associated with power infrastructure? In other words, the data center went in there and National Grid said, well, we need to put in high voltage lines with, a steel tower here, or I mean, I'm making stuff up, but those data centers use an incredible amount of power. Are those types of considerations allowed to be taken into account as part of this?
Yeah, so that would all be part of that planning board site review and oversight through the special permitting process.
So I have to ask that question because I guarantee that will come up at town meeting, and I'm not forming an opinion on it. Why is planning board and not the zoning board, if it's a special permit that normally goes to zoning, why is it going to planning? And this came
So,
up before, so I'm sure it's
sure.
again.
So planning board has a very thorough process in how we review site plans and modification to site plans. This would have to go to modification. This would have to go through site plan process anyway. But because we feel that we've done the diligence and we have oversight from a variety of different zoning perspectives from planning board aspects, and we bring on the certified engineers. We have a trained civil engineer with our town planner, and we bring in our consulting groups to really evaluate this. We feel that planning board is poised to be in a better position to evaluate all of the aspects associated with a data center.
Okay. Again, I don't necessarily have a dog in that fight. I just, right.
Be prepared for it. No, it's a great
Be
question.
prepared to, we've seen it in other town meetings for other similar things, and as long as you're prepared to answer it, it's more advisory than anything else.
Any other questions on this one? I
Sounds
had
like
one
there's
question.
Okay.
Sure, I had one question, Marty. How did you guys come up with the 50,000 square feet?
If you watch the meetings, they kind of have gone all over the place. So
Oh, okay.
So it started at 50,000 square feet. That's what's been in the code for a very long time.
Okay.
We were contemplating increasing it to 75,000 square feet. And I think it was through both the people from Atlantic Management Company who do a lot of development sites. They said 50,000 is pretty typical, and exceeding that, you may have implications by expanding that you may not foresee now. And we didn't really get in depth, but I think by 4 to 1, we agreed that we should probably just keep it at the 50,000 square feet and not try to push those boundaries.
So above that is possible, but special permit and review. Is that right?
Not for data centers. Data
Not
centers
for data. Okay.
specific 50,000 square feet, but other things can go above 50,000 square feet.
All right. That's the only question I had.
Does that limit, by putting that fixed with no chance of going up, that kind of limits it to, and I don't want to say it kills data centers, but it pretty much kills data centers, right? So
There are data centers that are 50,000 square feet or smaller. And so this data center, I think I had it in one of my, it can generate enough power that like a 50,000, what we are allowing for, could generate enough power for something. I'll have to get back to you on that. I thought I had it in here, but I'm realizing that it's not in here.
again, looking at a map, could you put two side by side, two distinct buildings, and call them two different projects? And I'm just,
No, because a site plan could only allow for one 50,000 square foot data center on it.
okay.
All right. Any other questions on this one? My apologies. I misspoke earlier and said ADUs. That is not you guys. That's select board.
I think zoning is presenting that too.
Okay. All right. So the other two that you guys have, I think maybe the numbering is now changed, Marnie, because you said 30 and 31, but
Yes.
we had them as 32 and 33 in the. I think we're just missing that update. But do you want to speak about those?
Sure. These I just made very simple. I just made a very simple presentation for. So basically, this one is we're amending zoning for removing Shop C to Southborough Affordable Housing Trust, SAHT. So basically, what are they? Shop C, as you all know, was a Southborough Opportunity Partnership Committee. It was charged with the study, promotion, facilitation of affordable housing in the town of Southborough. SAHT is the Southborough Board of Trustees of the Affordable Housing Trust. Say that 18 times quickly. That's why we use the acronym SAHT. And their mission is to expand the stock of permanently affordable housing in the town of Southborough using the 16 powers granted to it by state law and town bylaw. So what is it doing? Basically, in October 2024, Shop C was dissolved. In January 2025, SAHT was established. This town code still reflects Shop C. So all we're doing is asking to update the town code to replace all Shop C references with SAHT. No other changes are happening. That's it for that presentation.
All right. Eric?
Yeah, Mara, just a basic question, and I don't know if any of the advisory would know. So the notion of what these committees are supposed to be doing, is it ultimately to buy property to convert to affordable housing or to facilitate the town's approach to? I've always sort of been confused as to what these committees are actually supposed to do. And is the town really trying to become a landlord?
So it's a great question, and I really don't have that answer, Eric. I know.
Okay,
I know that they manage the affordable housing inventory, and they have the ability to use funds to be able to do that. But I think there are other things that they do based on the 16 things that they're allowed to do by state law. I just don't have that.
I mean, I'll educate myself more on it, but it always occurred to me like,
So
are you
Eric,
really
that's more the housing authority. So they're the ones that manage the actual affordable properties that are owned by the town.
Okay.
And that's the one where we have to elect it every year, the representatives there. But yeah, the housing authority is the one that manages the actual
So in
affordable.
that case, then the town is actually servicing renters or people
Mhm.
that,
Correct.
interesting. Okay.
Yeah, and then they have a director that manages all the
Yeah,
properties
yeah.
and all that kind of thing. So like what the Affordable House Trust would probably do is they would probably acquire a property and then transfer
Right.
ownership to the
Yeah.
housing authority to kind of manage. But
Yeah, I was just always confused on that point. Are we really basically landlords or, or whatever the term is today? But the answer is yes. Okay.
it's a separate entity. I don't think it's technically. I think the housing authority is its own. It's kind of outside of the town,
Oh,
but
okay. All right.
managed by people that are elected.
Got it.
I think that's right, Marnie. I don't know if you know.
Yeah, I think that is right. And
I-
thanks, Andrew, because I think I did know that at one point, and now my mind just got, so I
Okay.
appreciate you triggering that.
All right. Thank you.
Anyone else with questions on Article 30? New Article 30. All right. The next one, Marnie, it's
Perfect.
another on the MBTA communities overlay. Is that right?
Yes. Yes. So this one is a transcription error. So basically, wait, what is going on?
Marnie, is this the one that came up with the proposal on Southville where
Yes.
they said it wasn't it was a comma or they could go either way or
That's
whatever?
exactly what happened. Yes. And
Yeah.
so we went right back and amended that table. So basically, the current table in our town code wrongly indicates the word or circled on our maximum height D, and it includes a percentage in the FAR, the floor area ratio. And so all we're doing here is replacing section D and E, and we're adding an asterisk section. So we are adding a comma, replacing the or, and we're removing the percentage. And then we just note that the maximum height cannot exceed either parameter, and it must be obligations of both criteria.
Yeah,
And
which
that's
I think we had in the MBTA like
it was yes.
literature. We had it in a lot of different places. Yeah, yeah.
All the
So
models, everything. And remember, this dimensional standard says this is residential B dimensional standards. So whatever we don't really know what happened with the or and the percentage, but it doesn't reflect the resident B dimension as it stands. So we just wanted to make sure it was consistent. So a proponent couldn't come in and say it could be 2.5 stories or 35 feet. So that's what we want to make sure it's consistent throughout the code.
So it's effectively the lesser of the two.
Correct. Or if you have a 35-foot, 2.5 story, that's fine.
can't fit 3 stories in 35 feet.
You really can't, no.
Anyone else with questions on this one? BTA communities? No.
Do those presentations help? Are they just nice and simple? Good. That's what I'm aiming
Based on
for.
what I see, it looks good to me. Yeah.
Excellent.
I like the highlights, with the circles, because I think it's a busy slide, so that helps. Looks good. Anyone else with questions or concerns? Marnie, did you have anything on any of the other items that you wanted to mention?
No.
Related,
Yeah, I
even
think
if they're not planning? Okay.
Yeah, that's it. The only thing is, we've removed the housing for the elderly, the 55 plus, from the warrant article. So that's why one of the numbers is missing.
Oh.
So we're going to move to do a little bit more or a lot more diligence on that, because I think that it wasn't really well thought through. So we're gonna work on that.
Marnie, I know this one wasn't planning, but the banner one, why isn't that covered under temporary signs?
So banners are not allowed, period, in our town code. So they needed to put a tricentennial banner allowance in, and so that's exactly what that bylaw does, and it's sunsets. So after the tricentennial, it'll go away. Yeah,
thought it
so
would
when
have
you
been,
see banners in town, they're actually not legal.
but I thought it was under or other material as part of temporary signs.
And it's also dependent, like if people want to, the building commissioner ultimately makes that decision. And I know Patty Fiore went to the building commissioner and he said no banners. And town council agreed. So that's why they had to put this bylaw through to be able to have the banners. And I think they're looking for the telephone pole signs. I don't know if you ever drive through Ashland or some of the towns that have really nice signage there. I think they want to do the same for Tricentennial, which I think will really, make the town look
Yeah,
inviting.
like the local hero ones.
The
Yes.
Memorial
Yeah.
Day ones,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
All right. Well, thank
That's
you
the
for clarifying.
first time planning was simple. So thank you.
Oh, thanks.
At
We'll
this
see
stage,
what town
Howard,
meeting thinks.
yeah, by now, at this stage, with all the work behind it.
Yeah, I mean the industrial one is gonna, especially like the noise and like that where it doesn't exist anywhere else in our code. Right, that's where we're adding that whole section there, and people are gonna be like, "Well, isn't this covered under other things?" That's one where I think people might just not quite grasp why we're doing it specifically to this district, but we don't do it to any of the other ones.
And do you think it would be helpful just to say, I think this is the start of us going through the town zoning, because everything needs to be a little bit more updated, right?
Yeah, it's just when you get into those things, it's like, well, who's gonna be out there sniffing for odors
Right.
and what
Yeah.
material? It's the same thing we had the noise bylaw, right? Like,
Yes.
well, whose decibel meter are we certifying is the correct one? And yeah, that's the only part where I think it might get a little tricky. I mean, I think the 1,000-foot setbacks, I mean, are basically like we're acting like, oh, this is a moratorium. We're not going to allow data centers or battery storage. Basically, I mean, there might be some spots where we might be able to squeeze it in, but it's probably not feasible, right? So as long as people are okay with that, which I don't really necessarily think we have to have data centers or battery storage in town, but basically the 1,000-foot setback is a pretty good killer to that in at least industrial district.
So there is a battery energy storage that went through zoning board that is approved. So that is on 85. So that we
Okay.
will have a battery energy storage. So that preceded any bylaw. So
But that would be probably within the 1,000-foot of a residential.
yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yep.
I think I
When
remember
it
that.
hums, people will realize why they want the 1,000 feet there.
And we didn't have any oversight on that. We could write a letter to the zoning board, but in that circumstance, we had no authority.
Yeah, I want to read that. I'll read that bylaw more in depthly before.
And I think I'd really encourage you to just do the compare and contrast. Like I've spent a lot of time making sure you know exactly what's been pulled out and highlighted. It'll also be provided in handouts at the town meeting, but it's all available on the town website. So
Marnie, I do think it's helpful to mention what you said up front, that this is a step towards review of all the zoning, because I heard you guys say that months ago on a meeting, and so it all made sense to me.
perfect.
And I'm nervous by saying that, frankly.
Yeah, I was about to say I'm nervous by
I
saying
think
that.
I think it
The other
helps.
side of town. I don't disagree, but I think, you asked if you mentioned in the town meeting. I think that could have an adverse effect at knowing who shows up at town meeting, who likes things just the way it is.
Yeah, I see two.
Well,
I
you
see-
could say it.
I see two arguments. One is, well, if this is just the start, you're setting the expectation that there's going to be additional work, and then people are going to wonder about it. But the alternative is, if this is just the start, then somebody could basically push back and say, well, if you haven't worked out all of the details, why are you making a bunch of changes now? So personally, I'd be a little bit careful with that argument.
Yeah, but
I
I
don't
think
think it's
that,
a mean. Go ahead,
and
Barry.
I was just going to say the fact that it hasn't been updated in whatever it is, 40
Yeah.
plus years, and obviously the world has
Has
changed a
changed.
lot in those 40 years. I think it's a good reason to
Yeah,
be taking a look
Oh.
at it.
I
I'm
think
not
so.
saying it doesn't need to be done. I'm just, again, knowing who shows up to town meeting, that could make people nervous as well.
Assuming we still have a world
I
tomorrow.
know,
Yeah,
I
well,
know, I know. Marnie, you're not suggesting that this is a start in the industrial zone and then you're going to go from there. What I took you to mean was that a lot of the code needs reviewed,
Yes, like we're
and
looking
that's
at
a start.
the
So I think that's a little bit different too.
yeah, like the subdivision bylaws, rules and regulations, like some of the things that were done 40 years ago, like the center aisle that has trees in it is so
Yeah.
impractical for snowplows. So the curb cuts, like those types of things that we're looking at. So Alan's graciously raised his hand to do all that work with Bill Cundiff and Karina. So that'll be probably the next thing.
I think after hearing these guys, I agree with what Barry just said. Just
Yeah.
it's 40 years, things have changed, that's
Mhm.
where we're at with this one. So that might be the best path, but it
Will
was
do.
helpful to me.
Appreciate the feedback though. And if you see anything or have any questions, like please don't hesitate to reach out.
thank you.
We will. Thank you so much.
Marnie, I don't know if it's possible at this point in time, but in case the data center and the BESS like trips it up, I think some other, Lowell, I think did it. I think Gill, they have the bylaw that they're putting through a moratorium for a year to give an extra year for, the planning board to do the zoning there. So if people get so tripped up on that section, it's like, okay, can we vote for a moratorium that gives us another year to like fix those sections? And I think they're actually okay the way they are, but I'm just saying like it, to not have a year or two until we get changes that we can have a moratorium on them. I don't know if we could like almost amend it to do that or not, but just as a thought of a backup plan, if that trips us up and we're not gonna basically shoot ourselves in the foot and have people
Yeah.
rush in to do data centers and battery storage while we can't change the zoning, right? Just something to think about. I don't know if it would be in the four corners of the warrant to amend it to do that, but it's a thought. But I think it should pass as is. I think people understand what we were trying to do.
Yeah, I'm hoping we've done adequate education. It's always hard to reach the general public. We just heard from a proponent who didn't know that our bylaws changed in 2021 around lighting. So
Watch that. That was entertaining.
All right.
All right.
Thank you so much for
thank
coming.
you so much for having me. Have a great night, everybody.
Thanks,
Take
Marty.
care.
Thank you.
All right. In this grouping here, like sort of the high number of warrant articles, tricentennial banner signage, we just mentioned it. I don't know if anybody has any thoughts on that one. We didn't go over it last time. I know we have put in the warrant that we would vote these at town meeting, but
yeah, I think it's so specific to one single purpose that the risk of it is very minimal. It's got a sunset clause of a year from now, and it's.
Do we know why the language they put in that says the select board's decision is that it's sole discretion and it's not subject to appeal? Why that's in there?
I do not personally.
Probably just to put it to
Strikes me
bed.
as odd to put that in there.
Yeah. I don't know who you would. I mean, I guess you can
Well,
always
you appeal
appeal
it
it, I
too.
guess, technically to the courts, right? I mean, I don't think you can necessarily cut that out completely, but I don't.
It almost doesn't make sense because it's so specific to tricentennial that we wouldn't imagine anything else.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
Maybe they
anyway,
don't like
I
the
agree.
maybe they don't like the tricentennial banners. They say, we don't like those, do something else.
I guess.
I don't know. Oh, Marnie's raising her hand.
Oh, okay.
Go ahead, Marnie.
Yeah, hi. Sorry. So the conversation was that because this is select board's decision and it's a committee that's, has oversight by the select board, that they didn't want any other things or people using this privilege without express select board decision making. So I think that's why it was really kind of caveated in that way.
So nobody backdoored temporary and big banners.
Essentially, that was the whole premise for that, if that helps you.
Thank you.
All right. So we have said that we would vote these articles at town meeting. Are there
We don't have
some
to
that we
wait
want
for
to
a town
take? Are
meeting.
there some that we want to take positions on now? Was my next question, because we typically do that. I mean, the warrant says at town meeting, basically meaning that the votes will be on the screen at town meeting, or we would vote then. So either way, but I mean, I would be in
Sure.
favor in probably making motions and voting on some of these, like the tricentennial, for example, at least, and the ones Marnie presented, if you agree.
Yeah, I think the more we
Yeah.
can get out of the way.
Okay.
The only one I would like to leave to town meeting is the industrial, the first one. There's just a lot to it, and frankly, I haven't read it all the way through yet, so I'd like to read the whole thing before we vote it.
So I'm not sure though if we're going to keep it or not, but we had that hold on Monday as well of next week, which maybe would, perhaps be another chance to look at that. But so we won't, if I'm hearing you correctly, Howard, hold on that one. But
If
Do we-
everyone else is okay with that,
Yeah.
I don't,
I agree.
if we only have one
That's
left at town meeting, we can do it
Okay.
as we walk in, if that's okay. So,
All right. Would we want to make a motion then on 3031? And I don't know if the new or the tricentennial banner signage, which number it is at this point.
I have the
Um,
final warrant.
I have
32.
the thing here. Hold on. So
I still have my
so we're
old.
not going to do
Banners,
industrial,
32.
right? So we'll keep that at
Right.
town meeting. So
So 17 still town meeting.
yeah, hold on. Let me pull up 27, which was that easement one. Let me just see if they changed the language.
They did.
Oh, they did. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, 27 require through donation. So I think we're good to vote that one. That was the one that we held on where it said
Okay.
purchase or whatever.
Okay.
So I think we can
So
also
that's now
we can
that's the
vote.
Willow Street
Yeah,
easement.
27 for Willow Street,
Okay.
the ADU one, which we didn't really talk about. I don't know if we want to talk about that one. I didn't see much there.
Yeah.
It seemed just kind of cleaning up the language, and I think they increased it to 1,200 square feet.
Yeah. You know what the impetus was for that?
No,
Which number are we on? I'm sorry. I was reading.
It
it's
was
Article
31,
20,
but it's now
29 now.
29.
yeah, Marnie knows.
Yep. Okay, Marnie.
Hi there. So basically, they increased it to 1,200 square feet and limited it to one ADU per house, and they've eliminated the entire special permit process for an ADU. So it's now by right.
No
And
matter,
what
no
was-
matter
what
what
was
the
the
size
thinking?
is.
So by the state's ruling is 900 square feet or no greater than 50% of the main dwelling. And they were worried because they had applicants coming that wanted to build greater than 900. But it was the state rule is by right for 900 square feet and it's not whichever's larger, but cannot exceed greater than 50%. So people in town wanted to build ADUs that exceeded 50%, but they didn't hit the 900 threshold. So they decided just to make it 1,200 square feet, period, as a maximum, and then they eliminate any special permitting process at all. It would still have to go through zoning board for their other approvals and permitting and all of those things. But this way, it allows for homeowners to build an ADU that might be, if, let's say it's a 1,700 square feet house, they can only build, let's do 1,600 because I can do the math easier tonight. It's 800 square feet and they wanted to build a 900 square foot ADU. They couldn't have. They would have been forced to do this special permit. So this way, they just allow people by right to build an ADU.
So if you have so let me get that, try to read that back. If you have an 800 square foot house now and you want to build a 1,000-foot ADU, you can do that. You can build an ADU
It-
larger than your
Well,
house.
it does not exceed the gross
exceed the
floor area of the
primary.
principal dwelling. So you couldn't build a bigger ADU than your house.
Correct.
Well, it
But
can
you
be
can build it.
equal.
It does not exceed. So I guess
Oh,
equal
so
would
it
be
can be equal. So if you're 1,000-square-foot house, you could build a 1,000-square-foot
ADU
ADU next to it.
That's
or
right.
attached to it or whatever.
Or to follow on that, Howard, if you had a 1,200 square foot house, you could build up to a 1,200 square foot ADU.
Right. So basically, you can put two houses on a lot.
Yeah.
So
And Marty, to be clear, when you say they made the changes, you're talking about the state, of course?
ZBA.
No, RZBA.
Oh, RZBA, sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. Huh.
And remember, an ADU is not, I mean, it's an accessory dwelling unit. So it has a separate entrance. It has a place for hygiene, a place for sleeping, and a small kitchen. But like, you know, it's not going to have 3 bedrooms and, well, maybe it would.
Could if
But
it,
I
but
think,
now it can. At
But if
1,200
Yeah.
it's
square
by
feet,
right, who could
And
who
the-
says it can't?
And the principal residence and the ADU together still have to meet all of the frontage and sidage
correct.
correct.
limits on the lot. So that's limiting right there in many cases.
And again,
So-
just for clarity, the state's guidelines or I guess guidance is 900 square feet.
By right, correct.
All right.
but if that's the state, but if we may say it's 1,200, it's now 1,200.
Correct. We
So,
can do that.
right. We can increase the states.
Correct.
Mm.
It's
Well,
a
like-
minimum.
And it just
Right.
simplifies the process. But remember, like to Larry's point, there's all sorts of siting requirements and what can and cannot be done. So, like, yeah, like I'm saying,
Yeah, I mean you'd probably be adding 1,200, 2 or 3 bedrooms, and then you got to do an entirely new septic, and will it
Exactly,
you have the room
yes.
for it, and will it perk for that
And-
much? Yeah,
And you know, the smaller houses like 1,200 feet are probably on smaller lots, you know, in areas where we have half acre zoning, and that's going to create limits just in terms of frontage and sidage.
I don't know
So
if I agree with that, Larry, because I live in an acre zoning and I only, there's plenty of smaller houses on this side of town. So,
okay.
And couldn't you build up?
Yeah.
Right? Like,
build
so
up. You
it
can build
wouldn't- it
next to
wouldn't
it.
be-
Yep.
it wouldn't
Over a
be
garage,
restricted, it's
etc.
just- yeah.
It can't
Mm,
exceed
okay.
2.5 or 3 stories. That remember in residential
Right.
A and B
Or the 35
35
feet.
feet.
or the 35.
I
Yes.
learned this tonight.
Hope I
Alright.
didn't confuse things and clarified why they went to 1,200.
No, I mean
No.
it's they. I guess their opinion is that they'd rather have more ADUs. It simplifies the process, and you can't have any ADU over 1,200, which you could previously,
Correct.
as long as they gave the special permit. So basically, it gives an upper limit, which we didn't have before, and it simplifies the process. But it allows basically bigger ADUs for smaller houses. Which, I mean, if at the end of the day you have a 2,400 square foot, I guess two unit house, I think I mean, as long as it fits on the lot, I don't think that's terribly excessive for this town.
Yeah.
And the data trends are suggesting that we have a lot of, new home ownership in the country is age 41 is the age of first home ownership. So you have a lot of young people that are newly married that are kind of moving back in with their families. So that data trend is happening, and also older people that are trying to downsize and they don't have available places to downsize. So that's really what the push is with ADUs.
I get it. It
Right.
makes sense. It's faster. I'm just worried that you're gonna have two houses on every lot by this. Like I could figure out the frontage and take my backyard and put a whole new house on there. So, which, hey,
Hey,
maybe I'll
do
two
it.
houses, so maybe I'll make some money. We'll see. But
Yeah.
um, I worry that might get abused. That's all. Which I think it's gonna. I'm concerned it's not just going to be ADUs. It's going to be which I
Yeah.
guess is the point, is increasing housing stock, but it's going to give us, houses, not ADUs, and someone's going to change something later and just break it off. So,
Yeah. I have concerns about the 1,200. Like, I think that just opens up a whole bunch of other options.
And I know 1,200 isn't
Anyway.
necessarily large in this town, but
Well, it's not large,
a-
but
it's
it's
not a
large
small
enough
hospital,
for a
right.
separate,
Right.
separate thing. Okay.
Cool.
Okay. Thank you, Marty.
Thanks for your help,
You're welcome.
sir. That was really helpful. I was confused
All
on
right.
that
Well,
one
why don't we
too.
hold that
All
one
right.
off to the
Yeah.
side, I would think.
Yeah.
All right, so
I
hold
wanna read that
29
one
for
more
now.
too, so.
Hold
Okay.
29, but I think we could probably do, what was it?
Hold.
Um,
We're holding 17. We're going to
So-
try to do 30 and 31, and then
And then 30,
tricentennial.
I think we could
is-
do
that's 32.
Well, 30
Oh,
is.
no, that's not-
ADUs is 29. So I think we could do 30, which is the Shopsy one, 31, which is MBTA, 32, which is the sign bylaw for the and
Wow.
then we can also do 27 for the easement for Willow Street.
Yeah,
So 27, 30, 31, 32.
Yep.
27, 31, 32. Okay.
Andrew,
we
take
have
me
a
through
motion?
27 one more time, please.
27 was the easement for
Easement.
Willow Street that originally said that we were giving them authority to borrow or purchase the land, but they
Mhm.
changed it. So now it just says accept donation.
Donation.
Yep. Okay.
And in our letter, we clearly spelled that out. So that'll have to be changed now that they changed it in the warrant, because we were saying if they changed it in the warrant, we would agree, but okay.
Yeah, they did. I mean,
All our numbers are wrong anyway, so.
yeah, we could.
Yeah,
We technically voted
we'll be-
it that if they changed it, we would approve it, but let's just vote it again.
You can vote.
We said we would reconsider.
Okay.
That's what I wrote in the letter.
Okay.
But
All right.
we can revote it now. Okay.
All right.
Do we have a
So I'll-
motion? then?
I'll move to that advisory supports Articles 27 for the easement of Willow Street, 30 for the Shopsy to Southborough Affordable House Trust, 31 for MBTA Communities, and 32 for the sign bylaw.
Second.
All right. Any further discussion?
Appreciate the
Yep.
efficiency of combining them all together.
Yeah. If no further discussion, roll call vote. Larry,
Aye.
Howard,
Aye.
Barry,
Aye.
Eric,
Aye.
Andrew,
Aye.
and Marcy is aye. So 6-0-0. All right.
Marcy, one question on the other articles that we voted 5-0.
Yeah.
I'm not sure who wasn't at the meeting, but does anybody want to?
I think it was Eric.
Yeah,
It was Eric and Tim.
Yeah, so we were 5-0, I think, on everything else.
We were.
Eric, do you want to? We can revote them all and then include your vote if you would like.
Yeah, I haven't had a chance to go through them in great detail, so
Okay.
Andrew, can you put up the list of articles now that we
Yep,
still
let me
have
share
not
the-
voted on?
Cheat sheet. Hold on.
I hope the cheat sheet's right. Actually, the numbers may not be right, but they're all listed there.
yeah.
Yeah, I think this is the updated one that Mark just sent out. So it should
Oh,
be
perfect. That if you have that cheat
Lined
sheet,
up,
that's even
yeah.
better.
Yeah. So we
All
just
right.
need to do
Yeah,
the
that matches.
ADU one,
Perfect.
right? Which we can, and then I
think.
kind of saw the plastic bag
Yeah.
one, which again, I don't necessarily think that that's ready. I don't think it's even enforceable, but I think we can leave it at town meeting or we can vote it, but I don't really think it's. Town council has to opine on it, but I don't think it's enforceable.
Yeah.
And what about
didn't know if-
the finance committee one? Or even one?
I don't know if you guys saw the last select board meeting. Both of the petitioners were at that meeting. Mr. Barron was there, and then the two young ladies for the plastic bags. Select board agreed with what you just said, Andrew, that it really wasn't ready for prime time, if I understood correctly. And the finance committee, Mr. Barron quickly talked about that. Some argued that, there is the option of advisory, but we haven't really exercised the audit function of the committee. And that's really, I think, the intent of his ask here. We can't invite him to our next meeting before town meeting, but I wasn't able to get that done before tonight's meeting. So if we want to have him come and speak on that, we can. And I did put notes in our letter, what we had said already, that having a member of advisory
Can't happen.
wasn't even allowed.
Yeah.
And then he did get additional feedback on select board meeting as well, that you would really want folks who had sort of accounting and fiscal related
Yeah, they had like
experience and
planning and
knowledge.
ZBA, which is not really
Right.
what you experience you need necessarily for. Yeah, so
Right. So there's already been some feedback on those.
I mean, for me, when I read it in terms of the context, I mean, the issues that he points to that were in the DLS kind of DOR review were not what I would consider anything of real merit or any, real concern. I think it was more of a concern that Carla didn't have as much purview over like the schools and what they're doing, but from an actual external audit perspective, he's never had any issues with that kind of a setup. So I don't know that I necessarily have the same concerns that we're doing something. I mean, he points to something that happened in recreation years ago, but I don't. I think that situation's been resolved and we're in a good place now. So I don't. I just don't. I'm always for more transparency. I think there's some things we could do. Like there's a tool called Open Checkbook, which basically every week they load every payment that's made by the town and everybody can see everything that we do. I think we should look at doing that and stuff like that. So I'm all for more transparency when it comes to financials, but I don't know what a separate finance committee is going to do that we don't already do from looking at expenses on a quarterly basis and our external auditors do on an annual basis. But my take.
No, I agree. I thought this is a solution in search of a problem. It just adding another committee and getting the right people on it. Certainly what he's proposing here is not the right composition, even if he wanted to do it. So I just think it's a bad idea.
But do people
Alright.
feel like they know enough about it that they want to vote it, or should, to Marcy's point, we wait till the next meeting and have Jack come in?
I'd like to hear more personally.
Okay. Then we'll wait.
I would just say that he's not the only one who suggested this to us. We had folks calling in at the meetings when we had the St. Mark's Park issues, suggesting similar. So, I will reach out to Mr. Barron and try to get him on our next call.
Yep.
All right.
Do we want to do ADUs? I think we understand that well enough.
I think so. We don't.
I'd like to hold that one because I want to.
All right.
I need to read it slowly, and I'm still contemplating the 1,200 square feet.
I might try to watch one of the ZBA meetings where they talked about it too.
Yeah, I want to dig into that one more than I have and the 1,200 feet is new, right? That just happened, so I want to dig into that a little more if we can.
So we got
So did they
Industrial Park. We'll
remove
hold off on ADUs.
Did they
Do we wanna-
remove the permits one?
Which one's that?
It was the, withholding issuance of license. Oh no, sorry, it's just labeled something different. The issuance of license, remember, it was after the tax payment. It was if you haven't paid taxes, you couldn't get a
that's still in
license.
I think Brian took it out.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So I don't see that one.
I
Okay.
think
So
he was
that's
going to put it
gone
on
now.
the fall or something. He's like,
Okay.
yeah, I think he wanted
Okay.
to change the language around, or I don't know, do something.
So that was
So-
one other one that we hadn't voted on, but I don't see it here. So good. Okay.
Is it just the IP, the ADU, and the two
In a plastic bag.
Citizens petitions, yeah.
petitions?
I
we
think
want-
that's it now.
Do we want ZBA to come talk about ADU? That might not be a bad idea.
Sure.
You could.
Okay.
Okay. So Mr. Barron, ZBA, and I'll try to find out where we're at with the last citizens petition. I don't know if it's
If they're going to pull it or
if it's
or what.
pulled or if it's there. But
It was It was also really, I don't know if you maybe watched the meeting. You had two non-voters talking about it, right? They were younger.
Yep,
But
that's
in
right.
order for it to be a citizen's petition, the first person that signs it is technically the petitioner who has to be a registered voter. So I just, I was like, who's the actual petitioner? It's fine that we can allow
Yeah.
the kids to speak to it as, helping to support it, but we need to know who's actually asking for this.
Yes. It is
Yep.
still on the warrant, at least the one they just sent, so it's not
Yeah.
yet.
Hasn't
but-
been pulled yet, but yeah.
All right, so we have a plan then for those three. And we're just, Howard and others, the Article 17 in our next meeting. I guess if we have enough review of what's written, we can consider that one then as well. But
Okay.
all right, I feel like we're in pretty good shape with the articles.
Yeah, there's only a couple left, and
Yep,
so
I will get those folks lined up to come if they're available. Next up is discuss working draft of advisory report. Certainly can just share on the screen and do what I have so far. Tonight's discussion changes it quite a bit. So I might propose that, and it has to get into the format we normally use, of course, but this was just totally just
Well,
a
do we-
working draft.
I would suggest
I can edit it
maybe-
and then send out more of a final copy.
Yeah, I would say, Marcy, I mean, normally we don't comment on every article.
I didn't in this
Right?
either.
No, I mean, I'm just saying, like, do we want to
Yep.
go through the list and see like which ones we think warrant actually having? I mean, obviously the budget
Yep.
and the budget articles are ones that we always do. But do we want to see which ones we think there's enough meat on the bone that warrant us digging into, or just letting them fly?
So if you pull up the draft, Andrew, there were some that I thought it's like the additional pages on that summary that you had up.
Okay.
There's definitely some there that I listed them because we talked about them at the last meeting,
Yeah.
but I didn't think, first off, before you go there, I just want to point out here, warrant edits recommended was emailed to the town administrator from our last meeting. So we do need to make sure we double check in the new warrant, but I heard some of you saying that in fact, some of these changes had been made.
I saw the 94G was made.
Good, okay.
And the about number 4 was made.
Okay, cool.
And what about the budget? Did it get changed to advisory proposing instead of select board?
No, it's still all select board,
Okay.
but I think we can cross that bridge over the summer. So there's still after we get through town meeting, there's still a budget process document that we need to do as part of our policies working group that we were working on that, is with advisory to define the process. So I think as that we can, once and for all state who's the sponsor of articles when it comes to the budget or to capital items, et cetera.
Yep. So just for the record, town administrator replied to my email and said that the select board would decide if advisory would be listed in the warrant as proposing the budget. So it doesn't seem as if that happened.
Yeah, I don't think they
Which is
brought it up
fine,
on
but
the meeting,
we didn't. I just wanted you guys to know that the recommendation was made and declined. If you move to, keep going, Andrew. This is just the summary for those who didn't attend the last meeting, but the letter itself, if you keep going, the next. Okay, here we go.
Okay.
So in talking about, what you're mentioning, I listed advisory articles by consent because most of those were routine, recurring, administrative. Some of them may warrant, additional comments, and we can decide what those would be. If you look at the next section after that, I did list out the ones that we approved at our last meeting, and I think that was 6, 7, 9, 10, 26. And then in some of these, I added a little bit more info, like the town clerk change. The Willow Street easement we just talked about is going to have to look different now because
I get a different number, right? All these numbers are gonna.
Well,
Yeah.
Eric, we didn't revote everything, but
Oh, I mean, the article numbers.
We just need to change the article
yes,
numbers.
the
Yeah.
article. I mean, this is obviously all, there's got a few edits, but it's in pretty good shape for where we're at a couple weeks out to town meeting. I'm doing better than usual here. Um,
And the
so,
article
and then
the
there is
article
the
numbers
delegate.
also need to be updated in the list
Yes.
of consent.
Yes, we will do that. So I agree with what you're saying, Andrew. I mean, so we have so many articles. I would agree that we should hit the main highlights. If you go up to the intro and I did put, the operating budget, what it was, the increase, and also that we voted to remove Atwood. I mean, I think some of this context is important for people to understand if they didn't see any of our meetings. That we just did not accept what was proposed and sitting in front of us with no discussion, et cetera.
We should just caveat the 4.64% is average single family house bill.
Okay.
Because like depending on where you look, the budget increase in terms of the expenses is different than that number.
Okay.
But yeah, we can work on editing it.
Yeah, so, we don't have to edit it on the screen tonight, but I think it's a decent start. I also thought perhaps the health insurance highlight was a good one because there's a couple things with that, right? Like if we have enough folks sign up for that, I think because you have 2 pages, it goes to the other side, Andrew, sorry. I think what I have written there is that we could realize a savings, pretty significant one up to 750,000, depending on enrollment, and also that we won't know that till after town meeting because of the May enrollment. So I did add that there.
I think we should probably elaborate that advisory feels that our current, I mean, I don't want to speak for everybody, but our current health benefit the split that we have between the 75-25 is actually very high. I mean, most towns it's 70-30 or lower.
Mm-hmm.
That I have concerns. I don't know if anybody caught the actuarial OPEB conversation the other night, but which was terrible. But yeah, the OPEB, the other post-employment benefits costs are going up increasingly because the healthcare is going up, and there's additional work that needs to be done in our collective bargaining agreements to increase the deductibles, which most towns have, but Southborough doesn't. We need to look at our splits because they're cutting edge, and we shouldn't be cutting edge on anything. And we might need to also look at some of our retiree benefits in order to remain solvent. So more work to be done there, but this is the start of what needs to be a multi-pronged effort to reduce our healthcare costs.
Tim has his hand up.
Oh, I didn't even see Tim.
All right, hold on.
Not Tim Litt.
No, Tim Litt.
Sorry. Oh, sorry. Oh my God.
Not our Tim.
Not our Tim, but Mr. Litt. Hi, Mr. Litt.
Hi. I didn't mean to be hiding. I just wanted to note that at the last select board meeting, it was announced that the appointed town clerk article has been withdrawn. There's a timing issue with respect to elections, and I think the plan was to bring it back in the fall.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it was that.
I didn't hear that.
The time between town meeting and the election's too short. Needs to be a bigger window. So would it be? You have to wait till next election.
Yeah, it needed to be 60 days, Andrew.
Yeah. So it's one of those put it on the fall town meeting because it's going to be a year in between when you vote at town meeting and when they could vote at the ballot. So might as well wait till fall.
Yeah, it's just I don't think you need to confuse the current report with something that's been withdrawn.
Correct. Oh, no. It's there, but we'll get that out. Thank you so much.
Sure.
So how does that work? If he's going to retire, does that mean the position just stays open, or
apparently he's not?
He's going to stay. Okay.
Well, at least until the fall
Sure.
decision is made.
Got it. Thank you.
Him and Jerome Powell.
I know. The only other thing I wanted to highlight here in the letter before we kind of consider what we want to do next is under the capital, I thought there were a few things I thought might be worth highlighting, particularly the technology that we had the divided vote on, that we have concerns about. And so I thought it might be something we would want to mention, that we would recommend it in the future be included in the school budget. We had quite a bit of discussion on that. So, all of this is up for edit, debate, whatever you guys think, but this is just a start for us to get the ball rolling.
Just to give everybody an update in terms of the Atwood removal, I did have a conversation with Travis, watched our meeting and said, I heard you talk about park. I like that idea. So maybe we can do something there, a dog park or something. So I think people are kind of on board with our thought process of, if we're going to spend that much cleaning that up, maybe we could find a purpose for it between now and, fall town meeting. So at least it didn't fall on deaf ears. So I think there's some good progress there.
Thank you. Could you scroll? Oh, there it is. I'm sorry. There's the Atwood thing. Like, basically, I did highlight that we wanted a long-term kind of sort of a purpose for that site before we invest in it.
And what they did clarify in select board meeting that, we didn't know, but I guess there was another previous select board meeting that the pricing that they put together was like a lower option.
Okay.
I think I don't exactly remember the exact verbiage, but so there were options that were presented to select board, and what they had there was one of the options that was in theory less expensive, but not that much less expensive than the full.
Okay.
I think it had to do with, you can do it two ways. You can bring the levels all the way down below 100, or the law allows you to have an average of 200 parts per whatever. And that's what they went with. They didn't go with the get it down to 100 because the 200 still within the legal limit or whatever.
Okay. Was that on the last select board meeting, Andrew?
I think so, or the one before.
No, this is
I did hear them.
last one.
Last one?
I did hear them talking about it, but I guess I missed that part about the limits.
Yeah. So it's basically they did in theory already talk about the options. I didn't know about it, or we didn't really, it wasn't well spelled out in the quote.
So I guess in summary, one thing, we have a draft started. One thing is to clean up the articles by number, take out pieces that have been removed, update pieces that we have now voted on, and perhaps resend a draft for you guys to provide input on. And
yeah, I'm just trying to think if there's any other ones that we want to, probably the industrial park will be complicated enough that we'd want to
Article 17.
Want to talk about.
Okay.
I don't know what anybody else thinks. Maybe ADU.
Yeah, I think the challenge will be if we don't vote on them before town meeting, it might be hard to include what we really think.
Well, I think
Or we could just say-
we should try to vote on them next meeting, right?
Okay, all
Yeah,
right.
I think for sure.
So,
Yeah, I don't think that's unreasonable. We have another week again. The ADU
Okay.
just change. I'm sure we can
all
read
right.
and discuss it next week. So.
Okay. So leaving those two out, I will update this. And by the way, this piece here isn't part of the letter.
Yeah, no,
this-
I'm just trying to
this
look
was
at the
yeah,
article
these are-
names to see if there's anything else that.
Yeah, these were just our notes, so that I felt like folks who didn't come to the meeting last time.
And probably the separate finance committee, since it's so close to what we do,
Yeah.
we should probably have some kind of a
Okay, Article 35.
response to it, I would think.
Or the Finance Committee. Yeah, so those three we'd probably have to do after the next meeting if we have guests.
Yeah, and I think we could probably dust off the line that we put in every citizens petition town meeting of, we don't suggest there be advisory in nature citizens petitions that don't even try to go to the committee that they're trying to advise prior to town meeting. Like, I think in every letter we have, or at least in the past ones, we always had something in there that kind of was like, come on.
Okay. All right. Well, this is a pretty good start, I think. Andrew, you had some very good suggestions on a couple of things I'll like to expand upon. So once I get the draft, I can send it over to you to add that bit on. I
Yep.
forget what it was now, but it was one of the things you were just talking about.
Yeah, we
I
can.
think under capital. Oh no, the health plan. Sorry, the
Health
health
plan,
plan. Yeah. All right. So is everybody still available? Moving on to the meeting schedule. Is everyone still available for Monday night? Or does that still work for folks?
That works for me.
Yep.
And that was going to
Yeah.
be at 7, not 7:30. I think there was a reason for that, but
The 20,
the
30th.
30th?
30th? I'll make it work. It's my daughter's birthday, but I think we'll celebrate it.
Okay.
So,
I think there might have been reasons that we couldn't do the
What's more?
31st. or the-
You should bring her to advisory
I know.
meeting. I mean, that's
I know.
every kid's dream. You get a cake.
every 14-year-old's dream is to sit in an advisory.
Maybe you could go up before or
We'll try to celebrate on the weekend. That's fine. So,
all right. Or we can, I
Is-
think, yeah, because we couldn't do Wednesday with Passover, and I think the
Is there
others
any
weren't available.
any
Go ahead.
chance of starting that at 7:30 instead of 7? It might increase. I'm going to be possibly driving home from someplace that afternoon, and I don't know how long it's going to take me. But if we started at 7:30, it would probably increase my probability of being able to attend.
I could certainly do 7:30. Is everyone else available?
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, hopefully it's not that long if we're just doing a couple cleanups, look at the letter and have
what,
Mr.
3
Barron
articles left, right?
and ZBA.
Yeah, we have 3 articles to vote
Yep.
and discuss and on the letter.
That would be good. Thank you.
Okay, sure. So last but not least, review and approve minutes. Claire, thank you for sending along some minutes this afternoon. I think it was. I did not get a chance to review those.
I didn't either.
So I would
hold
vote.
off the next
to
meeting.
Yeah, I would rather vote on those on Monday, but please take a look at it. I think one was a joint meeting, so it shouldn't be too hard to do. It's just that I literally ran out of time.
I only saw one. Was there more than one?
No, I think it was one.
Yeah, it was one today.
It was
Or
one. Yeah. Maybe
Yeah.
it was yesterday. All I know is it was
yesterday, yeah.
recently.
Yeah.
So we'll defer that for now. And is there any other business this evening?
Any
If
public comment?
not, public comment, any hands raised?
Nope.
I don't think so.
Right.
All right. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All right. Roll call vote. Howard?
Aye.
Eric?
Aye.
Barry?
Aye.
Andrew?
Aye.
Larry?
Aye.
Marcia's aye. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
Appreciate your help.
Thank you.
Good night.
Bye.